Hey everybody, this is Tyler Dockery, and we are trying a slightly different area just to see if we can get over some of the acoustic issues. This week we are looking at failure and judgment, and hopefully this will be a fairly easy one. What do I think about failure? What are some of the things that we think about when we think about judgment? And also just kind of a side question if I run out of time, which is what are some of my favorite books? And so looking all this over, when I think about failure, what I really feel is that one thing that people don't like about failure is they're getting outside of their comfort zone. But that is exactly the kind of place where you are going to be if you're going to have growth. You can't stay in the same place doing the same thing every day and grow. And it's only by getting outside of your comfort zone that things are okay. Dave Chappelle, one of my favorite comedians, just chef's kiss, beautiful comedy. He went to Showtime at the Apollo and got booed off stage in front of his family, his grandmother. Just like Sandman came out and swept him right off the stage. And like on one hand, he said that he was kind of thinking about like, who are all these people to crush the dreams of a child? But then it wasn't that bad. And if that was the worst thing that could happen to somebody and it wasn't that bad, then he could risk everything and he could do everything. And if you're willing to risk it all, then there's nothing that can hold you back. And failure, if you learn something, is not a failure at all. If you have learned something by doing and you weren't the best, that's okay. You don't have to be the best every time at everything. If you try to hit that curve and you hit the wall going 90 miles an hour because you gave it your all, that's perfect. That's exactly where you want to be. Not only in this life or in your education or with your family, the ones you love. That's how you get ahead. People who cut corners and they take the easy way out and they go slow, they don't learn anything. Or if you fail and you say it's somebody else's fault that you failed, or that person just didn't like you and that's why you failed, you don't learn anything from it. That's a really big problem. The second side to this is just kind of, how do you feel if you're being judged? Does it apply to you negatively? Does it make you feel negative when someone judges you? It shouldn't. When I was in school, I failed out of pre-calculus. I'm not bragging, but I am just saying that I failed out of pre-calculus. And when I look at the mathematics that's involved, I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I don't understand. And many people in your life, maybe right now, maybe all the time, maybe in the past, they look at you and they see you, but they don't understand. That's not your problem. You know what you're doing, right? That's their observation, and that's their misunderstanding. Like when I look at the quadratic equation and I don't understand, it doesn't mean that the quadratic equation is wrong. It means that there's a problem with me. I don't perceive the value of it. I don't understand what's happening with it. The problem is with the observer. And so as you move through your life, if you find that people are judging you and they're judging you negatively, it's not a problem with you. It's a problem with that observer. That person looks at you and they don't understand. It doesn't compute. It doesn't match their level of understanding. But that doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that their judgment of you is accurate. The problem is on the part of the observer. The problem is not with you. So I urge you, if you are going through your materials this week and you see somebody doing something that you don't like, or something where you want to make a connection with the kind of person you are and the life that you lead and what's happening there with that person, just understand that every person is different, and what you see and what you perceive may not be the whole story, but it's worth looking into. It's worth thinking about. It's worth giving them the benefit of the doubt. If there's a whole group of people and they're all pushing in one direction and one person runs out to say, "Stop, you're doing things wrong," you have to listen to that person. Not you almost have to or you should. You have to. Because if everybody has one idea and someone comes forward and says that it's wrong, you have to listen. And not just because the base level of respect is just listening when someone talks to you, but if everybody is together in a mob and they're screaming for blood, that they want to take out the governor, and one person comes up and says, no, don't, we don't have to kill anybody. Yeah, you want to listen to that person. Just because it's one voice against the crowd doesn't mean it's wrong. In many times, that means it deserves to be listened to almost more than the entire crowd of people. Now, that person could still be wrong. If you've seen the Lorax movie and there's one person who sings about he wants to let the tree shrivel up and die, like, yeah, that person is wrong, but they did all sit, they did all listen to what they had to say, and just to make sure that it was wrong. But again, it's that very base level of respect. So when we are facing failure, one of the important things to do is just to understand, first of all, was it really a failure? Did you learn nothing? And you're going to make that same mistake again and expect a different result. Okay, yeah, then you're probably heading towards failure. But if you are in a spot where you can look at the results and say, okay, this failed because I didn't use my time wisely. I didn't think about good project management. I just did what I thought was right. I ran headlong at the solution before I looked at what anyone else was doing, before I looked at what was the best thing on the market and said, I'm going to meet or exceed that benchmark. If you learn, it's not a failure, no matter how bad it feels. If someone is judging you, they can be wrong. Give yourself permission to understand that no matter how much you respect that person, they can be wrong. Understand that you can be wrong. We can fail and get better. It doesn't really matter how many times you fall, as long as you get up. There's lots of little things that go along with that. I mean, if you never fell, how would you ever recover? As you go through your life this week, do think about other people's situation. Give them the benefit of the doubt. You may find that it suits you right down to the ground. I know last week's stuff was pretty heavy. It's been kind of a hard time here. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Please give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Give me a comment below to let me know whether things are going all right or not, whether this room is too loud or too quiet, and I appreciate you. Thank you very much. As always, in the doobly-doo below, you'll find a link to the document that I'm using to put this all together, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for following along with this, or just watching a piece of it. I'll take what I can get. Thank you very much, everybody.